Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today is the 29th May 2024 and we are here to prepare O levels MCQs paper, and today this workshop is now proceeding to day number 3. The day number 3, Wednesday 29 May, the target was to do the summer 2021 paper 1, and then the summer 21 1-2 variant. So let's start with the first. This is the summer 1-1 variant. Let's start with the first question. The first question is about which statement about the factor of production is correct. So factor of productions are the land, the labor, capital, and enterprise or entrepreneur. So this is which statement. The capital is financial resources and includes savings in bank. Which statement about the factor of production correct? This is not correct. Why not correct? Because capital is financial resources and include bank saving. Bank saving is not the factor of production. The amount kept in the bank is in the saving account is not the factor of production. Factor of productions are the resources that are used in the production of goods and services. So saving directly not used in the production of goods and services. Factor of production is correct. So which one is the correct? The question is about, so enterprise is a limited in supply and include office worker. It is again not correct. Why? Because the enterprise is limited in supply and include office worker. No, enterprise is not the office worker. The office worker comes into the labor part. So it's also not correct. Labor is a human resource and include pensioners and children. No, this is not correct, because labor is human resource. Yes, labor is human resources and it include the pensioner. Pensioner are those people who have retired, who are not working, but the labor is the persons who are currently working and contributing in the production of goods and services. And children are also not the labor, because less than 15 years are not considered as a part of the labor force. So C is not right. So land is the natural resources and it includes trees and fish. Yes, all the natural resources. So D is the right option here in question number 1. Now come to the question number 2. A builder spends 1 hour traveling to and from home. So this is like his home. This is his home. And he travels to the business places. His business is like far away and it took like 30 minutes to go and the 30 minutes to come back, traveling to work. He works 40 hours per week. He works 40 hours per week for the 200, and he receives $200 per week. He is given a choice to work 50 hours. He is given a choice to work 50 hours a week for an extra 75, an extra 75. This means this is the option 1. Earlier the option 1 was that he is earning $200, but he is also involved in the traveling. But now the option 2 is that he is living nearby his home, not far away, and he will work 50 hours. But he will not have to travel a lot and he will earn even more revenue from that 275 increase revenue. So the when he choose the option 2, he is having the opportunity. What would be the opportunity cost to the builder of working an extra hours? Extra hour means the extra hour is that option 2. Option 2 has the extra hours because this is 40 hour and this is 50 hour option. This is 50 hours option. So extra hour means he is working. So he is actually, when he is choosing option 2, he is actually uh, reducing 10 hours layer time. This means that he have not to walk to go to the work, and then he will not commute on daily basis to his working place. So what the opportunity cost is when he choose the option 2, the 10 hour of layer time he will uh, which one, what would be the opportunity cost to the builder of working the extra hours? Extra hour is this, the 50 hour is the extra hour. So option 2 means that he have to forego or given up the option of one 10 extra layer hour, 10 extra layer hour, because 40 hours and then the 50 hours, 50 hours he will have to work like 10, when earlier he was doing work for 40 hours and now he will be working for 50 hours, 50 hours. So this means 10 additional hours will be which he earlier was using as a layer, he was just using that, watching the TV will not be available now. So this is the opportunity cost of 10 extra hour. So I'm also, some other students are also want to join the class. So currently we are in, now come to the third one. The third one is about, of question 3 is, the question 3 is about what is the the question. I use this to make it more space. So the question is about, a country infrastructure was damaged by natural disasters. Infrastructure was damaged by natural disaster. This means that disasters disaster uh, reduce the available land by destroying the arable lands. Natural disaster reduce the quantity of available resources because disaster uh, destroy the forest, the land, and also available capital. Before the disaster, the countries was producing at point Y. So this is the point Y. Point Y is on this PPC curve. This is this PPC curve. This is point Y. Before the disaster, on the production possibility curve, which point represents the country's production immediately after the disaster. So disaster means when the quality of resources, the quantity of resources reduced, so it will shift the PPC curve to leftward. The PPC curve will shift to the leftward. Now the new PPC will be at this point, lower. So D would be the answer in this case because natural disaster shift the PPC leftward. But in case of recession or unemployment, it's not shift, rather the PPC will then change to inside the curve, inside PPC curve. Question number 4. What is included in microeconomics? In microeconomics, we study only one individuals or one firm or a one market at the time. One market, mango market, car market. But in macro economy, we study the economy as a whole of a country, full country, not one car or one person, but all the persons living in a country. So micro is about the individual. So we say that what is included in the microeconomics, it it is the calculation of the national income and expenditure. National income means income of all the people living in that. It come in the ambit of macroeconomics. The effect of a change in exchange rate and the trade balance of an economy. So exchange rate is not prevailing in a specific part of a country, but exchange rate is the macroeconomic subject. Macroeconomic means the whole country observe the same exchange rate, and the trade balances is not for the whole country. Therefore it is also the macroeconomic concept. We are finding what is the microeconomics concept, the effect of an increase in the price of a goods and services. Yes, this is the effector what will happen to when a price is increased of a product. So when prices increase, demand will fall, this person will probably less demand in case. So this is the microeconomics concept. And they are saying about which included the microeconomics. So option C is seems to be the right answer. The factor leading to demand pull inflation. So demand pull inflation is also the macroeconomic concept because it happens all the country. The country is witnessing the inflation in a whole country, not in a specific geographical area. So it is also the macroeconomic concept, but this will be the microeconomics because this is related to a single person or single market. Question number 5. What is the economist's definition of market? What is the market? Huh? We usually call probably the market is the supermarket, Jinnah supermarket, the F10 market, that Markaz and Mandi. But the market is that could be a large virtual area. It could be where buyer and seller meet together and trade the goods. It could be the world market, they not physically exist. So the collection of informal retail outlets run by small firms, for example, dhaba vagera. No, this is the collection of informal retail outlets run by small firms. So economists say that the uh, market means where all the individuals enable all the individuals and firm to buy and sell the goods. So market is a place where all the firm can interact through any means, physically or through electronically or internet, whatsoever they are using. If they can they interact, then it is the market. So informal means no formal. There is no shop. There is no proper way of selling and buying the goods. So this could it's not answer because and the place where traders gather regularly for short period. This could not be the market because there is no buyer in this case. When the trader only gather, this is not the market. A place where traders gather regularly. So traders are the sellers. Sellers. So if there is no customer, no buyer, then it is not the market. And this is could be the market because we are buyers and the sellers meet together. This is and the existence of consumer demand of the good. So demand means the only customer exists but not the seller. So D also could not be the market. Market is where buyer and sellers can meet together, can interact together. So C is the right option here. This case is the C is the right option. Question number 6. Anyone find difficulty or some in understanding? They can raise the hand. We can discontinue it and we can discuss. But if you are learning, you are comprehending what I am discussing, so it's okay. So question, what is an example of an external benefit? External benefit from an individual cycling. So when a person use bicycles, it is advantageous for him as well as to society, because he is not first, he is using bicycle, he will be healthy, he will have less money to spend on fuel and petrol. So this is called the private benefit. The private benefit of cycling is the private benefit. The private benefit is that he will be he will be physically healthy, and he will be spending less on petrol and gasoline. So this is price. But due to the cycling, he is also possessing, also throwing a positive effect to the society. This is called external benefit. External benefit means the benefit extended to the society due to his action. The third parties are benefited due to his cycling habits. And you know that together the private benefit and with the social benefit makes the social benefit. You know what is the social benefit? The social benefit is the social benefit. The social benefit is equal to the private benefit plus the external benefit. External benefit. Social benefit is equal to private benefit plus external benefit. So the person is enjoying the bicycle, less money, good health, but at the same time he is not causing pollution, he is not contributing in the road congestion and noise, etc. So this is the external benefit due to his cycling habit. So we can say that here, what are the external benefit from the individual cycling rather than driving to work? He is not using the car but using bicycle. So higher cost of building cycle lanes, this is not actually the benefit, it is cost, but they are not talking about the cost, so A could not be the right answer. Improved physical fitness to the individual from cycling, this is not the external benefit, it is the private benefit, because when the improved physical fitness to the individual from cycling, this is private benefit because he will be more fit due to the cycling. But they are talking about what is the external benefit, so this is not correct. And lower cost of cycling uh, compare compared with the driving to work, this is private benefit because he will have to spend less on fuel, etc. This is private benefit. But reduced congestion for the other road user, yes, this is the external benefit because other will also benefited his cycling habit. So question number 6, okay so far. Now come to the question number 7. The question number 7 is about a tailor. A tailor has 4 customers for her range of suits. The table shows the yearly demand for the suits. So the question is, which price should he charge to maximize the tailor's yearly revenue? Which option? Option A, B, C, D, there are. Where is the option? I don't know the option, but which option give him the maximum revenue? This the question is, which option give him the yearly revenue, the maximum revenue, the maximized revenue? So revenue is, you know that the revenue is equal to the price multiplied by quantity. Revenue is equal to the price multiplied by quantity. So revenue is, price of this is 800. We can say the option 1, the price is 800. And how many quantity? Demand of the suit 4 plus 1 5, 5 and 6 7 8 9. So this means his total revenue from, if he set the price of price like 800, so 8 9 are 72, 7,200 will be his revenue. So what the other option is, this is the option 2. In option 2, this is 900 is the price, and then he is selling 4 and 1 5 and 6 and 7. So 7 9 7 9 just 53,000, I think. Yes, 53,000. Yeah, 5,300 will be his revenue, because this is 900 and we are multiplying 4 5 6 7. So 900 here is the price and the quantity is 7, so 5700 is revenue. In case of this one, this is 1000 price and 3 4 and 5, so 5000 is in the option 3, there is 5000 revenue. And in option 6, this 1100 option, there is a customer, this is 2 and 3. So 1100 multiplied by 3 means 3300. So on the basis of above, we can say that the option 1 is giving 7200, option 2 5000, this is 5000 and 3003. Option 1 is the right option, because it will give, the option 1 is, if he set the price of 800, he will get the maximum revenue by from his customer. Now come to question number 8. In response to an increase in the price from 2 per kilo, a farmer increased the supply from 500 to 600 per. What is the price elasticity of supply? Actually, supply curve is like this one. So if the price was earlier 5, he was willing to sell 400 kilo. But when price is increased to 6, he is now willing to sell 500 kilogram. So what is the price elasticity of supply? The question, price elasticity of supply. Price elasticity of supply is calculated with the help of formula, the percentage change in the price and the percentage change in the quantity supplied. Percentage change, not only the change. So first we calculate how much percent the supply is changed. We know that supply is increased from 500 to 400. Earlier the supply was 400 and now it is 500. So the difference between these two is 100. Why 100? 100 is the difference between these two. These two, the difference between these two is 100. And always divide it by the original value where the actually they started. 400 multiplied by 100. So if we cut this 2 with 2 and 5 here by 25, so 25% supply is increased. And how much is the price is now increased? The price is increased. Earlier the price was 5 and now it is 6. So the difference between this is these two. The difference between two is, we call it difference, but actually we want to calculate the percentage difference. Percentage difference is calculate the difference divided by original. We always write this is original multiply by 100. So it will be like 20%. So the formula is that quantity supply is changed to 25% and the price is changed to 20%. So PES, price elasticity of supply, will be 25 divided by 20. So using the calculator, 25 in numerator divided by 20, we will receive 1.2. The price elasticity will be 1.2. So any option that resonate with this one is your answer. Like we can say, is there any 1.25? This is the right answer in this case. Now come to the question number 9. It is expected that the consumer will use less paper money. Nowadays peoples are not using much paper money. Everyone has easy pesa and other accounts, the bank accounts and the jazz cash accounts. When you pay, you say, so less paper, they keep less money with them. Mostly now it was very famous in the foreign countries, but it is now gradually becoming famous in our country as well. So what is the most likely a person, why less money is used? The question is, it is expected that the customer will use less paper money. Why? Because inflation reduces the value of paper money. Even when inflation will occur, whether you are using the paper money or any other forms of money, the value will reduce. So this is not the reason, not the likely reason. More ways of making payment will be available. Yes, this could be the reason. Why? Because people are paying through cash, through check, through others. So this is in addition to the existing methods of payment. So people prefer. Why this is using less paper money and more other forms of money. Other forms of money are durable. No, durability is not the matter. Durable means the other is not visible. Then how, whether it's durable or not durable is not the reasons here. Paper money will have less intrinsic value. Actually, one is called the face value, and what is called the intrinsic value. Intrinsic value is like this is 5,000 rupee note. So this is its face value. Huh? But actually the value of the paper from which this currency note was made, it is like very low. It could be like 10 rupee cost of producing that. So intrinsic value is the value that is hidden inside that पेपर हिडन खुफिया जो छुपी हुई वैल्यू होती है उसको इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू कहते हैं ठीक है ना सो पेपर मनी विल हैव इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू yes paper money is as well as the also intrinsic value is in the other forms of money as well because money always have intrinsic value if you have money in your bank account and easy pesa account this show that you have some value so this is not the reason. So the reason is the B option, that people have more ways of doing that. Now come to the low income countries, fewer girls than boys. Fewer girls are less becoming engineers, design engineer or whatsoever. People, women's are actually more inclined toward the medical services, want to become teacher or doctor and such type of professions, but not less women are inclined towards become an engineers. So what might explain this situation? Girls are only interested in low wage jobs. This is illogical nonsense because girls are boys. Everyone wants not the low wage jobs, not the blue collar job. Girls wants the white collar jobs as well. So this is not the right. Girls do not favor heavy manual work. This could be correct to some extent, but the case is that because women are physically weak, therefore they usually not involved in doing the manual work, rather they prefer to do the mental work. They are good in mentally good. So girls do not favor heavy work. This is partially correct, but the question is low income country. Low income country. Hmm? Because in the developed countries women are doing even heavy work, driving and machine operator and everybody there, but in low income country like our country, women do not favor heavy work. We are not accepting or rejecting this so far. Girls have fewer opportunities to complete the higher education. Yes, this is the right reasons because to 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 qualify for a design engineers, I think like FSC and then 20, almost 17 to 18 years qualifications years will be required for training. Like after doing the O levels, you will do the A levels, and then you will spend 4 to 5 years to become the engineer. So it take lot of time, and in developing country, in low income country, people don't have opportunities, don't have enough money to spend on education. Therefore it's usually the fewer opportunities for. Yes, this is right. This is right. And it cost more for girls to be trained as design. It cost more for girls to be trained as a design. Girls and boys have same fees all around the world. Hmm? No, the girls is usually same. So no cost, no high cost. This is not the reasons. So far we completed the 10 out of this paper. I'm stopping this one to discuss with you. Now we are moving to question number 11. We are moving towards question number 11. The question number 11 is about the diagram shows the demand and supply of a labor in an industry. This is not the demand for product, rather demand for labor. Who demand the labor? The businesses demand the labor. And this is the supply curve. Who supply the who supply the labor? The labor force. The individuals living in that country supply the labor. So where the demand and supply equal, where wage is right in the vertical axis, the not the prices, this is the labor market. And in the labor market, wages are on the on the vertical axis, and this is on the horizontal axis. The quantity of labor is on horizontal axis. So the wage should be like where demand is equal to supply, like 60 per hour. But actually, the trade unions, this is the original equilibrium price. A trade union are the group of employee who pressurize the employer to pay them higher wages. So trade union then negotiate at the wage W. This is the higher wage than the, fixed by demand and supply forces. So this means the demand is here. The demand is R, but the supply is T. So this is the surplus labor because supply is available. Businesses are not demanding that. So there is a surplus labor, there is unemployment in case. So what identify the change in the employment? Earlier, S S number of S number mean like 40 peoples were being demanded by the businesses. Businesses were creating 50 jobs, but at the higher wage, the businesses are reluctant to offer more services, so they demand less, like 30. So this is the difference between change in the employment level means less people are now employed. So R2 yani R2S, this is the difference between R2S is this is the difference between R to S. This much difference is the change in the employment rate. Now come to 12 part question 12. A company a company mining cobalt. Cobalt is an important mineral used in making wires and utensils and industrial use. A company invests in machinery to replace some worker. Now the work is being done by machines. This means the uh, the company is becoming bigger because more work is being done, so they are using the machine instead of human. Eventually, diseconomies of scale occur. Economies of scales means when we increase the size, we produce more output, and as a result, average cost is reduced. This is called economies of scale. And diseconomies of scale means when output increases and average cost started increasing again. This is called diseconomies of scale. This means diseconomies of scale mean when a firm is getting bigger, their average cost means cost of producing one unit rises. Earlier they can produce a product in can mine the cobalt in $80, and now after getting bigger, the mining it become expensive to mine the cobalt. This is called diseconomies of scale. So what could cause this situation? A more cobalt is mined, average cost increases. Yes, average cost increase. Diseconomies means that when average cost, what could cause this situation? Because eventually diseconomies of scale means that average cost will be higher. So this is the right option. Diseconomies. Why are some hairdressers able to operate as a small business? Yes, hairdressers operate as a small business because there are high level of competition. No, high scope, economies of scope, or scope of economies of scale, because there is no scope of economies of scale. Economies of scale means that if firm is getting bigger, then their average cost will reduce. But usually hairdresser have small market. The It is small market, and small market means they should be in small. because if they will be will arrange too many seats for the customers, probably they will not get more customer, so they may face the diseconomies. So this could not be the right option. Long period of training, no, barber or hair cutters don't need the long training, rather a training of a month or a two will be okay for that. And low startup and running cost, yes, small shops, small businesses have low startup cost, means the business is set up in a low, using low capital, low cash, and running operation is also, when there is a small shop, the low electricity bill and other expenses. So D is the option in case of, the question is why many hairdressers are small, so the answer is that low startup cost and low running cost. Now come to the chapter number, this is now Demerity owns a firm that and sells bottles of lemonade. He only sells one size of bottles. How would Dimitri calculate the total revenue? And we calculated earlier on that the revenue of a firm, REVE, revenue is not the profit. Basically, revenue means the amount business receive by selling the product. So revenue is calculated by price multiplied by quantity. So this is the multiply the quantity sold by the cost of bottle. No, this is cost. Revenue is the quantity multiply the quantity, this is quantity sold by price, so this will be the revenue. How many, the price of one bottle is like 10 rupee, like 10 rupee is the price of one bottle, and he is selling like of 50 bottles, so 500 will be his total revenue. So do not confuse the revenue with the profit. Revenue is the amount business received by selling the product, and after subtracting the cost the business will get the profit. So here no information about the cost is given, this is the revenue, they are talking about the revenue. Which market is likely to be in the most competitive? Market is more competitive when this is the market, there are many, there are like sellers, there are many firms, but any firms that are not the part of industry can easily enter, no barriers. Barriers to entry means if there is no barrier, no restriction, you can enter into that industry. If any business can set up their business without any restrictions, any legal restriction, or by other type of restriction, then it is no barrier. But most of the industries you cannot enter. For example, I cannot open a bank. There are some restriction. I will have to obey some law and follow some law, then I can enter. In the same way, in telecom, airline, there is restriction of heavy cost involved in entering. So there are barriers. So when market will be more competitive means when there are many buyers and there are many sellers, so it is called competitive market. When there are barriers, low barriers, so it will be more competitive. And number of seller, if there are many number of sellers, more, so then there will be more competition. More competitive means more competition. So D will be the right answer in this case. Now come to an economy. An economy has high rate of inflation. High rate of inflation. In response to this, the government increases taxes. Yes, when government actually increase the tax rate, the people have low income. Low income means low disposable income. Huh? When there is high tax on people, then people have less money to spend. As a result, the aggregate demand will fall. And when aggregate demand fall, it will reduce the prices. Prices usually increases when demand is higher than the supply. When goods are less and demand is more, then prices usually shoot up. This is inflation. So when the government impose the taxes, people demand less, and at the lower demand, prices go down. So inflation will reduce. an economy has high rate of inflation, high rate of inflation, in response to this the government increases the tax rate increase. What is most likely reason for this increase? Why? This is to discourage the consumption of harmful goods. When no, usually government impose the taxes but not the income tax. That is the tax on goods, that is called sales tax. Another type of goods is used for to reduce the harmful effect, not the income tax. So this is not the option. To raise the money for the government, no. To distribute the income, to redistribute the income means when people are taxing the goods, because here the case is and has high inflation. So this means to reduce the total demand or aggregate demand. When government will tax, the aggregate demand will fall and price will fall. As a result, the high rate of inflation will slow down. The purpose of increasing the tax was to reduce the demand, and as a result to reduce the prices in the inflation in the economy. Now come to the interest rate. Interest rate is the part of monetary policy. Interest rate is the part of monetary policy, is sometimes raised as, it is also used, the interest rate is also used, interest rate is also used. What is happening here? Dismiss, your call will end in 15 minutes. Okay, we will finish that before 15 minutes. So interest rates are sometimes raised to control the inflation. Why why might this policy be effective? Uh, Interest rates are sometimes raised to control the inflation. Yes, when there will be high interest rate, then people will not buy the goods on using loans. Therefore, the consumption will fall, and businesses will also not demand them get the more loan from the banks. As a result, investment will fall. I for investment and C for consumption, and as a result the aggregate demand, A for aggregate demand, will fall, and this will reduce the level of inflation. So when the interest rates are sometime raised to control the inflation, why might this policy be effective? Why might this? So this means the consumer will save more. The answer is that when there are high interest rate, the people will save more because they will be getting more reward on their saving. When they will save their money, they will consume less. When there will be less consumption, this means the aggregate demand will fall because they will demand less goods. As a result, consumer will save more, they will consume less. When they will consume less, the demand will fall. When aggregate demand fall, prices fall, because inflation is always due to higher demand of the goods. A government revenue grew 8%. Government revenue grew 8%. 8%, this means the government revenue is increased to 3.25. Earlier it was less. It was less. And its expenditure was reduced to 3.69. So this is expenses, the government expenses, and this is the government income. The government income. So government income is less and expenditures are still more. This means the budget is still in deficit. Because why deficit? Because this is the income and this is the expenses. So expenses are higher. But what the government did, the government actually tried to increase the revenue and reduce their expenditure. This is, the government was trying to improve the deficit. The state of the budget is that it is still deficit. State of budget is still deficit because revenue is less and expenses are higher. But the government aim is to reduce this deficit. Reduce this deficit means the government have tried to increase the revenue, grew the revenue, and reduce the deficit, reduce the expenses. When government is trying to increase the revenue and reduce the expenses, this means the government is trying to reduce the deficit. That's why the option here will be the B will be the option in this case. 12. A government inflation. A government's inflation rate measured by consumer price index was 3% in year 1, and 3 years later it was 8%. So we can say that CPI, Consumer Price Index, was 3%. The the prices of goods were increasing at the rate of 3%. But 3 years later, it was again like it, in second year it further reduced and then it further reduced. But this doesn't mean that the prices are getting lower. This means that the rate is falling, but the prices will still increasing. For example, in 2022, the prices were increased by 3%. So 500 goods were like 515. And then in 2021, the 515 goods become 517 because 2% further increased. And then in 2013, it further increased. So this means the prices are increasing, but the rate is falling. But the rate is falling. This means the what can be concluded from this information: the prices are falling. No, prices are not falling, rate is falling, so A is not the option. The rate of price increase is falling. Yes, price, the rate of price increase is falling. Price is increasing, but the rate is falling. So B is the option. This is called as, in economics, this concept is called disinflation, means the rate is falling, but the prices are still getting high. Question 20 is, what will deflation most likely lead to? Deflation means when the prices are reducing in the economy, you will find and you will witness reduction in the prices. हाँ, सब चीज़ें सस्ती हो रही हैं when you buy. So deflation is most likely lead to a, when the deflation occurs, people have higher purchasing power. They can buy more goods from that money because now goods are. D is the answer. An increase in the real purchasing power means when the prices are falling, the people will have more purchasing, can purchase more of that. So for here we are taking, now come to the question number 21. Economic growth can be defined as, so economic growth means when output increase in an economy. Output means more goods and services produced in an economy. This means GDP increases. So economic growth can be defined as a reduction in country's rate of inflation. No, rate of inflation sometime increase or decrease, but economic growth means more goods and services are produced. An increase in the country's exports. Exports is not the GDP. Exports is, exports cause the increase in the GDP, but actually itself it is not the as economic growth. So this is not the cause, they say how it is defined. So an increase in the country's population, this is against, this will even reduce the economic growth. And an increase in the country's productive capacity. So if an economy earlier can produce 400 uh, billion dollar of the goods, and now due to technological advancement, the skilled labor force and investment, it can produce like 500 billion rupees, GDP or dollar GDP. I'm taking this in dollar. So this is means they can produce more, capacity is increased. The economy can produce more goods and services. So if the productive capacity increase, and this is usually done with the supply side policies. This is the long run aggregate supply curve. So if the long run aggregate supply curve shift to the rightward, so as a result the productive capacity increase. So on the basis of that, D is the option. Other three we have already rejected. Now come to the question number 22. The table compares the distribution of employment in a selected industries in 2 years. So from the table we can see that agricultural and the mining comes to the primary sector. These two are the primary sector. The this one, the green area, manufacturing, is the secondary sector, and retailing, this is like retailing, the retailing, transport, these are the tertiary sector. So the red color one is the primary, this green color is for secondary sector because this is manufacturing, and this is the tertiary sector. And we can see from this that that in agriculture there were about 6 million people employed in year 1, and now there are 5 million people. The both are 6 and now 5, so this means unemployment has fallen. Less now, fewer people are working in the primary sector, and in the manufacturing or secondary sector it's like same, and in tertiary sector it increased. It was 8 and it is 9. So on the basis of this table we can answer this, that how did the distribution of employment change between year to 1. So in the primary sector people fell, and in the secondary sector it unchanged. B is the answer. You can see that in you can see that in the manufacturing or secondary sector it remained unchanged. So unchanged is here. So B is the answer for the MCQ number 22. Now come, we are moving towards uh, 23 chapter, the question number 23. in year in a year, two changes occurred in a country. Two changes occurred in a country. Companies' directors' salaries increased by 15%. Hmm? So, uh, directors are rich people who owns the company. This means they are entrepreneur, they are rich person, and office workers' wage increased by just 5%. So these are the poor person. So as a result, the inequality or poverty will increase. Poverty will not increase, but rather will not improve much. But the inequality will be much, because salaries, rich people will distribute more profit among themselves, will get distribute more income or salaries among themselves, the benefit the owners, but will not distribute the benefit of the increased sales and growth to the lower staff. The rate of inflation was 3.5%. So inflation usually erode the money. Huh? By looking a currency note, you will see that it's 5,000, but after the inflation, its purchasing power reduces. It cannot buy the goods of 5,000, rather it buy fewer goods than 5,000 rupees because of inflation. So inflation reduce the value of the money. So if this is like the person A, and this is these are the directors. So they 5% wages increased, yes, 5% their wages increased, and these are 15% increased, and 3.4% inflation occurred, the prices increased. So this means their actual real value will increase only to 1.6%, because after out of the 5%, the 3.4% has been eroded by the inflation. And here their wages will increase by to the extent of what, like 13 point or 12.6% anyhow. So you can subtract this value, like 12.6 I think will be the right, 12.6% here, 1 by 6%. So this means that both are witnessing a positive growth in their salaries, but the growth is more in case of uh, the the directors one. So companies directors real income, yes, it rose. It's not fall. So yes, it's rose. It increased. Real income increases. This means that they can buy more from their salaries now, and the office workers' real income also rose, yes, small but still rose. So this means the D is the right option. G is the right option here. Question 24. 24 24 is where I want to create some space here, so I'm clipping some additional part of the screen to create a space where I can demonstrate you. The concept is not the economic concept, it is how you read the graph. How you read the graph. uh, Reading the graph is also the part of economics capacity that you will build, and you have, because economists usually present the data in form of charts, mathematical equations, and the graphs, etc. The diagram show birth rate, BR birth rate, and the death rate in 3 years, country X This is the country X data, this is country Y, and country Z3, the 2 years 1 and 2. So year 1 is year 1 and year 2. So why year is written on the horizontal axis, year 1. So we can see that in year 1 the birth rate, the death rate was like, I can graph it like 60, and the birth rate was like 80. So this means more births were taking, so population was increasing at year 1. And year 2, I can say that the death rate was like, it's lower value like 20, because this is, you can see in the vertical axis that usually 0 starts from here and then it go upside, so like 20. And then the even the birth rate is like 40. hmm? So still there is a gap between the birth rate and the death rate. So this means the country X will be witnessing increase in their population in both the year. What happening here in the country Y? This is this graph which is touching here is the death rate. So death is like 80 and the birth is like more than 90. So again population is increasing, but in year 2 the birth rate is like 20 and the death rate is even more than 30. So population will be reducing because more, the death rate is more than the birth rate. So this is happening. What is happening here? This is the death rate and this is the birth rate. So birth rate, death rate is like 30 and the birth rate is like higher than this one, 50. So this means that more births are being taken place than the deaths. So there is an increase in the population, and here the deaths are still less than the birth rate. Births are higher. So I think the previous one is not, I mentioned it wrong. Like if I am the coloring the birth rate. This is the birth rate. Ye wala. The birth rate is like 30 and the death rate is like higher. So this means population is falling in the year 1, and this is population is birth rate is higher like 80 and this is like 60. So we can see that there are more births than the deaths, so population is increasing. So after doing this much analysis, where are the rise, uh, where was there is rise in the population in year 1, where there is a rise? Yes, year 1 rise, X is the rise, and fall in the in the year 2 here is increasing. So this X could not be the case. Now it's increasing. Why? Because the birth rate is higher than, yes, it's increasing, but there is higher death rate, so it is decreasing, a fall in the population. So it actually matched with this one, this scenario, that in year 1 the population is rising. The population is rising. Why? There was 90 birth rates and 80 death rates, and there is diminishing because death rate more, 30 is being child per 1000 persons are being born, and however there is lower death rate, so this means falling. So this, the condition fulfill the criteria of country Y. But what, why here the birth rate is, the death rate is quite high, so this means population is falling, so it not fulfill the first line, the rise in the. So in this case the only country Y is fulfill that criteria, country Y. So D is your option. Now 24. 24 is the richest 60% of the population, the richest 50% of the population of a high income economy. These are the economy who have high GDP like European economy, America, Australia, etc. Received an increase in the income. The richest 60% of the population in an high income country receive an increase in the income. The income of the rest of the population did not change. So this means a country is like, let's suppose this is an American economy. So the 60% 60% of the population of high income received an increase in the income, but 40% no change. 40% no change. So their income is not fallen. They are not fell into the further poverty, but actually their income did not change. So they were earning, their income is same as in the previous years, but some of their fellow citizens are witnessing high increase in their incomes. So this means some people are becoming rich, but some others are not becoming poor, but remain the same. So they become relatively poor. Then we can say that these 40% are becoming relatively poor. These are not absolute poor. Absolute poverty means when the peoples are unable to afford their basic necessities such as food, healthcare, shelter, etc. But the absolute power, the relative poverty is when some of the people living in the countries are becoming relatively poor to the other their fellow citizens. So in this case we can see that the absolute poverty is increased. Absolute poverty increase. Absolute poverty, no increase, because this 40% uh, is receiving the same income. So no, absolute poverty remain constant because they remain same. And relatively poverty increased because they have more income then. So option C is the right option. Now question number 26. Gross domestic product is a measure of better measure of comparative living standard when it is adjusted for the effect of. So GDP measures the living standards of an economy, living standards. But you know the GDP of small country will be small and the GDP of a bigger country will be bigger. So it needs the adjustment of the population size. So how many people are living in that economy? And secondly, the inflation rate in the different economies are different. So basically, inflation erode the money. Therefore, the living standard is how much a person can buy from his income. If the income is quite high, but the inflation is quite high, then they will be unable to afford their living standard, afford the basic necessities. Therefore, inflation need to be adjusted, and therefore the size of population need to be adjusted. So it need to be adjusted for exports. No. Inflation, yes, but half is good, half is not. So A is not the option. Imports and exports, no, both are not. Population changes and exports, population changes is right, exports no. So but half is right, half is wrong. So the overall is wrong. So population changes, yes, population changes and inflation both need to be adjusted when we are interested in comparing the living standard across the countries. So this uh, out of six, this the question number six, the D is right. The D is the right option here. 26 27. Question 27. What is the disadvantage of increasing international specialization? International specialization means when a country specializes in a specific product. Huh? For example, uh, narrow range of exports. For example, Pakistan just specialized in mango, orange, cotton, and now no more cotton, but few goods. We use all of our workers to be specialized and get training in a certain specific area, and we may export narrow range of goods and services, and we import all the goods from the other countries who are expert in something else. But this is specialization. Specialization increase the productivity of a world. As a result, people witness good, better living standards. But the disadvantage is also one of the disadvantage is that you know that we being a society got too much benefit of specialization. Okay, I specialized in economics. I'm specialist in economics. So some other teacher is specialist in chemistry, so his performance is better. If I start trying chemistry, then I will not be a good teacher. And if he try to teach the economics, probably will not be at good. So this means specialization increase the productivity, efficiency, and quality. But there is a disadvantage, especially in case of international trade. So if we dependent, if we export a narrow range and then we import all of the goods from other countries, so we will be dependent on the economic situation and other political, legal, technological, and so many other uh, international relation and so many other factors for the import of the other good. So consumer pay higher prices. What is the disadvantage of increased international specialization? Consumer pay higher prices. Specialization will not increase the prices, rather reduce the prices because efficiency will increase. Services reducing their welfare. This is not. This is like not the disadvantage. This is not the disadvantage. We are finding what are the disadvantage of international specialization. Domestic firms may be uncompetitive, leading to the structural unemployment. When there is specialization, the domestic firms will specialize in the sector where it has advantage. So actually, the domestic firm leads to no structural unemployment, but we will do the country will specialize in a product where it has advantage, so employment may rise. Domestic firms may experience rising cost as they pay more for imports. When there is specialization, this means we will import cheaper goods from other countries. Then because there will be no specialization means we will not impose any tariff on the other country's product, and our exports will also be not facing the barriers from the other countries. So the cost, as they pay more for import, no, we will, it is less. Oh, this is not the advantage, rather this is not the disadvantage. Resources may be used less efficiently as domestic firms may face less competition. Yes, this could be the disadvantage, that when there is no external pressure, when there is no pressure on the domestic firms to be more efficient, huh? Because we are specialization means we are producing only a fewer goods, the resources may be used less efficiently as domestic firms may face less competition. Specialization means, so what is the right here? Consumer pay higher prices, the disadvantage of increased specialization. Domestic firms may become uncompetitive to the structural unemployment. Domestic. So, on my best, this is the right answer, but any student can later on can confirm whether it's right or wrong. Which method of protection always produced? Which method of protection? Protection means when the government protect the domestic industries from international competition. These are the domestic industry. So when the government, this is worldwide, so government protect the domestic industry from international competition, international big firms, so that they can flourish and provide employment. So which method of production always reduce the supply of imported goods to zero? Zero means no imports. So embargo is a situation, complete ban. Embargo means complete ban on imports. This could reduce the imports. Quota is limit. Yes, some goods, the government allows some limits that some goods can enter into the country. Subsidy is to domestic economy so that they can able to compete with the foreign. And tariff is the tax on imports. So embargo will make it zero. Embargo means complete ban on imports. Now the US car dealer, this person is living in USA and he imports car on $25,000 for Japanese car at the current exchange rate. So the US dollar strengthened means appreciated by 10%. When exchange rate appreciated, then the price of exports increased and the price of import reduced. This means the car dealer who is in America will be facing lower. What will be? They will be now have to pay less for their car. Earlier he was paying 25,000. After the 10% depreciation, so 10% mean 25,000, and minus the 10%, the price will reduced. So 10% of 25,000 is like 2,500. So reduce this one, 5 and 9 7. So 27, this is like 5 message to 3. What is the value? It's the 4 2. So 22,500 will be now he is paying. Any answer to 22? Yes, B is the answer. So earlier he have to pay the 25,000 to Japanese car manufacturer, but now exchange rate is appreciated. Appreciation favor the imports. The imports become cheaper, so he will pay 22,500 now. Now a country has deficit on its current account of balance of payment. So exports, what deficit means? Exports, and there are imports. Import, exports. So when exports are less and imports are more, current account contain the four items like trade of goods, trade of services, primary income, and secondary income. So this is a deficit. So deficit means a country has the deficit on its current account of balance of payment. What could increase the size of deficit? Why the deficit will increase? It only can increase when exports become mean there are four items. If inflow of the foreign currency reduces and outflow increases, then the deficit will increase. So is there any option that can say that the inflow is in the outflow increased? What could increase the size of deficit? And increase in the exports. When exports will increase, the inflow of foreign currency will increase, therefore it will improve the deficit rather than increase the deficit. And increase international competitiveness of goods. This means that our goods will be cheaper for the foreigner. Competitiveness means that we can produce the goods at a lower cost, therefore we become more competitive. This means that we will be the imports will be we will be exporting the goods at a lower cost, so it will increase the inflow. This is not the option. Increase number of visitors from abroad. If there are more people visiting to our country, this means that the inflow will increase because they will be demand our currency. They will supply their currency. This means inflow of the foreign currency will increase, though this is not the case. Increase spending on its military bases. So when the government spending in abroad, so they sell their currency and will buy the foreign currency. When they will buy the foreign currency, as a result, the foreign currency's value will be appreciated and our currency will be depreciated. So as a result, there will be like it's like a type of the imports, because we are investing abroad, we are setting up base abroad. So the currency will be outflow. So as a result, this is the answer. This is the answer. Other ones is clear and straightforward way of rejecting. So one, this option left out. So this is the D is the option in case of 30. So students, you can check the answers with the marking scheme, and if you find that some are not as per it may be like half. Usually when I attempt the question, when I solve question one questions, usually I find that usually the way how the question is being asked, like it cause intrication, but the other one is like going good. So uh, you should match your answer with this marking scheme, as well as you can learn how to click the right one and the left and right and the wrong one using this video. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.